Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to surviving Mars. Oh, more than likely this is the last episode of this series, and then I'll do this tutorial for domes. We might as well jump in quickly here. Kind of a lot of loading for such low visual quality as far as just like the low number of polygons.
Consists of multiple domes.
But yeah. So we're being handed what seems to be a fully running
can transport resources
dome.
and colonists across great distances.
So it seems like we need to build a shuttle hub. Let's just get a general idea of what is going on here. See, zooming out further is more difficult. So this is where the game, I imagine, will eventually lean into, is that you would have multiple domes in a location, and you would shuttle people around. I think I'm probably a bit more of a fan of the idea of forward operating bases, mobile bases, things like that. Like, it does to me just seem kind of wasteful that you would build a whole area and then just have to build a whole new area and start over. It just seems like a waste of time. Although in fairness, every level in a lot of real-time strategy games, you end up having to do that anyways. The thing is, back in the day when I was much younger, playing something like Command and Conquer or StarCraft's probably a great example. It was just a different situation. There weren't as many games available. There wasn't an internet and Steam where you could have a whole massive amount of games to pick from. And frankly, I just had a lot more free time. I certainly did not grow up in the era of screen time as a concept, so I definitely am guilty of playing games like Heroes of Might and Magic for hours and hours and hours, potentially even on a school night. Like, there was just no real rules imposed upon me, which probably helped me as far as my life experience of understanding video games, but probably didn't help as far as other kinds of life experiences. So was there something more I needed to do here? Maybe I just needed to connect this with power. That it may just be getting less direct as far as telling you what to do. Obviously, this building does need power. But in modern times, even still being able to play a lot of games, there's just a lot more competition. And something like this is not really designed to respect the player's time by modern standards. It's designed still to waste a lot of players' times through very repetitive actions. So there's rare minerals or metals being extracted. And even in the modern version of a game like this, these kinds of games have evolved into things closer to MOBAs, where the player is required to move at very high actions per second to accomplish the most efficient way of winning. Esports have expanded that to the point where you're actually competing against other people. Yeah. the StarCraft of today is a pretty different thing, I think, from what the StarCraft of 20 years ago. Which, yeah, it probably is about 20 years old. And I just don't know how surviving Mars really fits into that. I just don't think it really does. I think it is very much feeling like it's an also-ran product that shows where you would need to do something really amazing and new. Maybe that's something where something like Satisfactory might come in and automate that whole process. Although inherently Satisfactory is probably just automating the processes to fix a problem of its own creation. Where in any other style of game, you would just call this bad game balance. Not sure exactly what I'm supposed to be doing here. Like if there's supposed to be a person here, then how can we assign somebody? Let's see. Yeah, am I supposed to be doing something here? Do we not have shuttles? We do have shuttles. Am I supposed to be building something else over here? Theoretically. Connected to the power grid. Okay. So this is complaining about not having people, but in reality, the problem is it's not connected to the power grid. But the dome is connected to the power grid, so I should be able to just connect it that way.
There are no colonists in the mining dome.
Which means
we must provide living space for the colonists so they can move.
Once you build the big round domes, you get this extra ability to connect resources.
Don't forget to provide basic services for the citizens of your new dome.
They sure are overemphasizing the spacebar and the grocer. So that actively just having you rebuild what you had built before in the previous tutorial, which some reinforcement is fine, but that seems like that's a little too early to reinforce and repeat. It seems like we are getting actual humans now wandering around.
You can set up filters for every dome to attract colonists with desired traits, and block or push out colonists with undesired ones.
Okay. So we select the dome. Filter by traits. Active.
Being near a rare metals deposit, this dome is best suited as a mining hub. So it's best to encourage geologists to migrate here.
So, geologist Immediately went the wrong place. Let's see, so we don't want scientists. We do want geologists. The way this is working is very weird. Did I do what I wanted? So you could also search by quirks, perks, flaws, sex. What does that even mean though? Female, male, or other sex. It says scientists, geologists, yes, scientists, no. Did that not work? Scientists, no. Yes. Then you change the value by going left or right. I assume they're kind of expecting it to be. Children and seniors can't work, so maybe I am supposed to say no to children and no to seniors. Yes to middle age, yes to youth. So it goes child, youth, adult, middle-aged, and senior. Right trigger X also brings you up to this menu. Next dome
has been designated for research purposes, so it's best to attract more colonists with the scientist specialization.
So the pop-ups and instructions here, which are severely suffering because they're not speaking all of the words, also aren't even telling you everything to do, and you're just having to just blindly, stupidly follow the blinking indicator wherever it might be, if you even get a blinking indicator. There have been multiple times. And if the tutorial is this bad, I mean, you really are just going to be on your own with the rest of the game. You're going to have to learn a whole bunch of things on your own, which it's probably not going to be a fun experience. It's going to be a trial and error, a grindy experience, I suspect. So, in this case, we want scientists, and we don't want geologists. This dome has been
designated for research purposes.
And somehow that brought back the prompt.
Colonists can migrate between domes using shuttles or walking when they are positioned close to one another. However, they cannot usually visit buildings in nearby domes on a daily basis unless they are connected to their own dome.
Let's see. Build a dome near the research dome. So we are now at the thought of building a third dome. Just to figure out how all of that would work. And it does just feel to me like it's going to be domes upon domes, and once you start getting into that in phase of the game, all of this that was covered in the first 3 tutorials is going to become considerably less important. There is several Feed the Beast style modded Minecraft games out there, where early game you're punching trees to get wood, or you're harvesting leaves to make water out of leaves, usually. But by the end of the game, you tend to be introduced to the concept of EMC, in that raw materials such as wood are just automatically being grown and automatically being harvested by machines, and you've long since forgotten about those elements, and then it is being converted into energy, which then a machine can turn from energy back into matter.
Construct 2 farms in the new dome. They will be used as workplaces for the colonists in the old dome once the domes are connected.
Now, I don't know if that's the best way to do things, but it does certainly highlight that even in those Feed the Beast Minecraft levels, the mods, there is a realization that the grindiness of early game
may be connected with passages.
Loses its appeal very quickly. And even the main game of Minecraft, the mining kind of loses its appeal. Notice that there's not been anywhere as many updates to. So passage is like underground. Interesting. Well, it's not underground, but it looks like it is. But yeah, as far as what has been added to Minecraft over the years, a lot more of it has been the adventure, new enemies, new creatures to fight. Very little of it has been, let's add yet another material, or let's add yet another style of pickaxe you can form to mine with. There has been a few elements like that, but not that many. The mindless repetition.
Good job.
Only lasts so long, and only works a lot of times when you're playing with friends and you've got like a podcast going on in the background, or music going on in the background, or you're hanging out with your friends talking.
Some buildings can have upgrades that can improve them in various ways.
Here, I don't think we'll ever get to a point where this would be the kind of game where a lot of groups of friends would play with each other. And there has certainly been a movement. I guess we're going to research the extractor amplification tech towards more cozy, laid-back games. And yeah, I'd say cozy laid-back games have come into direct competition with a game like this, which is not particularly laid back or cozy, because in the real gameplay mechanic of this, there is going to be some scenarios where you're just going to have to manage way too much. And so these are just horizontal escalators. Connecting the two domes.
Congratulations. With the research complete, a new upgrade for your extractors is now available. It is not automatically activated in your buildings. You must construct it first.
So we have to select it, And then we have to come over here. And do we click this where it says upgrade amplifier?
Nice work.
Even though that's not really where the arrow was pointing.
The upgrade has been constructed.
So there are upgrades here. This is what I expected you'd run into, but notice that they are late
The command
in the
center
game.
is a treasure trove of information about the colony.
I'm not doing any research right now, and the game is telling me to have some research going. Open the command center with the left menu. Then go here. This will show us graphs. And I really hate also how this game has the mouse cursor just always there when I'm playing with the controller. That's fairly basic stuff that shouldn't be there. Then I'm just getting a pop-up blocking everything until I hit right bump, and then when I hit right bump I can start going deep into this menu. Inherently, this does feel like this is a game that was designed specifically for a certain type of nerd. The programmers of this game probably really love this concept, and that's not a bad thing to have passion about what you're creating, but there is certainly a danger in that you might be the only specialist that likes that type of game, or likes that type of game in the way in which you're presenting it. Here, there's just a lot of statistics being shown off, and I don't think most gamers actually care about statistics. And it may very well be more helpful to just hide numbers. A large amount of games hide numbers behind it, and many games have a Dungeons and Dragons style dice roll happening in the background with some kind of number, with some kind of health points and action points and stamina points and things like that, charisma points. Fallout's kind of a great example of that, in that there is clearly a whole bunch of numbers being calculated in the background, but it's all just being hidden, or at least most of it is, from the player, because the player doesn't care about the numbers. If they did, they probably would be playing just a tabletop Dungeons and Dragons game and having the numbers actually be calculated. When you want a video game, when you play a video game, you typically want that all automated away. I don't know if I'm really making all of progress here. Or if I'm supposed to actually be looking at anything in particular. Yeah, this command center certainly highlights how this is a statistics-based game for statistics fans.
Congratulations, Commander. You have graduated from the International Mars Mission Training Simulation.
Now, I think it's worth pointing out that this tutorial has been absolutely horrible, in the sense that nothing at that top bar in the user interface was explained away. You just would have to figure out what each of those icons in the top there coordinate to. And so your at-a-glance UI on the top bar, I have no idea what most of that means. But overall, none of these tutorials have been particularly good as far as just making me feel like I've learned enough to be really good at the game before actually just playing the game. There's been a lot of things we didn't construct, a lot of things not mentioned, And the things that were mentioned, I unfortunately have to just assume are the best parts of the game, and so I have to assume everything not mentioned, not shown, is even worse. And maybe there's just a massive amount of mods or DLC that make surviving Mars make a little bit more sense. I do have to applaud it for having a new game mode, which is going to be, I guess, a randomized survival mode, and then story challenge modes, which I assume are going to be a little bit storyline based, but probably not by much. I don't think there really is much of a story here. And then creative mode is probably where you would be more laid back. But yeah, I thought after the first tutorial I would have no interest in going any further with this game. After 5 episodes, I have proven to myself that that first inclination was correct. In fairness, this was probably never going to catch my attention. It's not how I like to end series, certainly. I like to try and play games all the way to the end, but I can also see how even playing one survival mission would just be a whole cloud of negativity in my mind. Apparently there is some form of like defense, tower defense, and hydroponic growing more. Like, I'm looking at the video of Surviving Mars on Steam right now, and there are just elements that didn't show up in the tutorial. And one of those is a rocket launcher that seems to shoot down, I guess, enemies. Noticeably, though, there isn't a multiplayer, player versus player in this game either, so that really can't go that far, can it? I hope maybe this series has shown the game in a accurate enough light that somebody might find it and find it enjoyable for themselves. That's the best I can do in this situation. But for me, that's going to be it for the series, and there's no reason to drag it out. So as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and keep on watching. Thanks.